I got 8 Pokemon games from eBay for parts. In this video, we will try to repair the first 4. I don't want it to be a very long video, so let's jump into it. First of all, let's select the ones that we're gonna repair. This lot, I paid $300 for these 8 games, but it includes 2 Pokemon Crystals, so I think we can make some profit if we can fix all of them. So let's start by choosing the 4 on the top, starting with Pokemon Gold. This has already been diagnosed by someone, and it says that they tried 2 different batteries and still doesn't hold the save. Also, they put a replacement label, but we're gonna put a brand new one that was recently designed by my sister. I will leave a link in the description of this video. You'll want to purchase those labels. So let's open the cartridge and see what we got. First of all, we don't see any battery, and we see some excess of flux near the battery pads, and there's not much going on here. So if they say it's not saving, let's start by cleaning the pads, removing the solder, and then cleaning with IPA and a cotton swab. Then dry it with a paper towel and repeat until we are happy with the results. Now that we have cleaned the pads, I think we should go ahead and try to install a battery and see if we make it safe. If not, we can also diagnose something. Here we found that there's a bias that is a little bit broken, and there's some traces that might be broken here as well. We can always trace if they work using a multimeter. So let's see here. There's little tiny damage. I don't think it happens to be the issue. So let's try and test with a multimeter all of these quote broken traces that I saw. As you can see, all of them have continuity, so that's not the issue. Let's bring a brand new battery, put it into position, and install. They say that the issue with this game is that it's not saving, so we're gonna diagnose that by installing a battery and checking voltage. Let's put into position, then heat after applying some flux, and put in some solder in this side as well. Now let's clean again. Remember to always clean everything when you work with flux. Now let's dry. Also, let's clean the pins just in case it has something to do. I also take this chance to clean the board, and now it looks good and shiny. Let's test the voltage. So battery 3.2, which is very good, pretty much brand new. Now let's go ground and check the first pin on the right side of the ROM chip. Now leg number 9, my mistake, sorry. And everything seems to be just fine, so I don't know what the issue was. So let's close it, start the game, create a new save file very quick. This is my favorite screen. I watched it like 10,000 times already. Let's put it back into the Game Boy. And let's see if that yeah, it's working. So it seems like the 2 times that they tried the battery was not working, or maybe they installed it on the opposite side. So that's game number 1. But I want you to see and showcase a little bit of this new label that my sister has designed for Pokemon Gold. Let's start by removing the old label and look at this. Look how good this label looks. Let me put it into position very carefully. Just like that, no bubbles. And I mean, this looks very, very cool. Of course, it's missing the little numbers on top of the Nintendo certification logo, but this looks very clean and way better than it was looking before. So perfect timing to get these labels. So now let's close it, and just for the sake of comparison, let me bring this working copy of Pokemon Gold with the original label. As you can see, those are the numbers that I was talking about. And I mean, it's very similar. The finish is very, very similar. I think it looks very, very cool. This, along with the Pokemon Crystal labels that I've used in some videos in the past, are going to be available in this new store. So let's move on with game number 2. That's Pokemon Red. It says it doesn't save even with a new battery, and currently it's not holding any battery. So let's start again by removing the screw on the back with our game bit and opening the shell. Yeah, just when we open it, we can see that there was at some point some liquid damage into the shell. So that means we have the same kind of damage into the board. And I can already see some issues exactly at that same spot. And as you can see, yeah, there was liquid damage in this part of the board as well. You can see also some corrosion here. So what we're gonna do to start, it's clean IPA, cotton swab, your best friends, clean all the board, bottom and the surface. And now let's also clean the shell, leave it as good as new. And this was owned by Jake Doran, it seems, but they engraved the shell, which is cool, but there's nothing we can do to fix it. And actually the label on that Pokemon Red looks very, very clean and nice. That is top minty condition. So let's put a battery holder. Same, the issue is that this is not saving. So we're gonna install a battery to see if we can diagnose what the issue is. So in this one, like, it's in a very good condition, so I'm gonna install a battery holder. It adds a little bit more of value to these games. So let's just solder it into position. You have seen me doing this in the past a lot of times. There's many resources on my channel. You want to see a more in detail explanation of how to put a battery holder. So after I install it and clean it, let's bring a battery, pop it into position. And now let's bring the multimeter. Testing for voltage, it is fine on the battery. Now let's go ground and first leg on the right. No, something's not working. Now the 9th leg, also there's something. Voltage is not reaching the ROM chip where you store your save file. So now let's go to the back, and as you can see, there's no continuity in those two vias exactly in the spot where the liquid damage residue was. And as you can see here closely, there's no copper in that trace. So I'm gonna bring my working copy of Pokemon Red that I actually have in sale on my store, open it very quick, and now let's compare if we can find where the issue is. Of course, we have seen that those vias have some damage, but let's compare with this one just to be sure. And we can see that the top of those two vias has a continuity with the second leg on the right to the top of the MBC3 chip. This one doesn't. So yep, we need to solder a wire into that position. Start looking at it, I couldn't see any other issues, just that there's no continuity in this part of the board. Just double checking, confirming. And yeah, I think this is where the mistake is, where the issue is. I wanted to check everything 2-3 times before moving forward and start to scrape the solder mask, because I think this is a thing that you have to do when you're very sure of what you're doing. So without further ado, let's grab our blade and start scrapping the mask. Just next to the vias, we said is the top one of those two. Let's remove the surface, the layer of the mask. Be very careful not to cut yourself. Looks good. And let's see. Now, what I did in this part is I put a wire from TP1 to that exposed copper, and spoiler alert, it didn't work. So now what I'm gonna do is to pretty much put more copper, expose more copper into that position, and install the wire there and connect it directly to the position that we set before. What I'm gonna do is cut this piece of wire, bend it so it's on top of the exposed copper, just like that. Now we're gonna apply some flux and solder into position. Heat and apply some solder. That seems to work just fine, and it looks just like that right now. So now let's clean it as usual. Dry it, go to the other side, remove the excess of wire, bend it to the position that we want it to be. Sorry for the poor filming in this part. So now what I'm gonna do is to remove a little bit of the plastic that covers the wire. Let me hold it with my tweezers so I don't pull the wire away from the board. Just cut it with a lot of care, like that. Now let's prepare the leg that we are gonna solder it into by putting some new solder. Now let's bend it into position very carefully. And now let's solder it. And I think that looks just fine. Let me show real quick to the camera. You can see the wire connected to the leg. Looks very good, very clean fix. Now let's take this out away and bring the multimeter to check the voltage. Will this fix it? Yes, that's working nice. Now let's check ground and the leg. Yes, we have the correct voltage now. And this other leg. Yes, just fine. So now let's put it into the cartridge. Let's see if it closes correctly, because many times when you put a wire on the backside, the shell won't close well enough, but there's no much of a gap in this one. We did a good job. Put into the Game Boy, and again create a brand new character just to check if we could fix it. Very fast, blah blah blah. Let's name it like Gold, blah blah blah. Save, and yes, I think we saved this game. And that this could probably potentially sell for around $90 in this condition. So let's go to game number 3. This is Pokemon Crystal. It says it freezes when you try to save. So right off the bat, I can see there's a little bit of dirtness, and the back of the shell is broken around the screw. There's missing plastic there, but it's okay. Let's test it, and we have a Scramble Nintendo logo. Scramble Nintendo logo again. Third attempt, Scramble Nintendo logo. I think somebody lied when they wrote that note into this one. It's not starting at all. So let's open it. It's a little bit stuck for some reason. Oh, sorry, the screw. My mistake. Let's remove the screw. You can see the hole when there was plastic before. So now let's open it, and just right off the bat, I see tons of flux. It seems like somebody actually reflowed this board trying to fix it, but that didn't have results at the end of the day. So yeah, this is definitely broken and very dirty. Probably it's dirty because all of the flux. As you can see, when we zoom, we can see those two broken vias. So I will clean the board again to remove all of that flux and dry with a paper towel. And now I will test those broken vias that we saw. And just like we thought from the beginning, there's no continuity when checking them. Yeah, that bias, I think it goes to TP3, if I'm not mistaken. And the one in the middle is the one that takes care of the saving, because it goes straight to the ROM chip and to the MBC3 chip. So now I'll bring a copy that is working, and I'll compare the continuity just to be sure. So it's TP2 actually. So let's test 3, no, and 2. There's nothing. Now let's check continuity in the one in the middle of the board. And it's supposed to have continuity there. Now let's see on the one that is not working. And of course, we got nothing. So now we know where we need to repair the traces. So let's go back, bring a battery holder, a white one. I like this one's better on a Pokémon Crystal. And like we said, we need to install the battery. I'll do that off camera because you already see me doing that. So now let's fix the traces by applying some solder into TP number 3. And now let's solder a wire into that position. Hold it, heat, and have the solder melt when it is in position. Just like that. So now we need to move it and bend it without making it touch the copper traces, or TP2 or TP1. We don't want shorts in this Pokemon Crystal board. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to move it. I'm going to bend it all the way to the BS that we're trying to fix. You have to be very careful. Now let's push it through the vias that it's broken. Bend it carefully. And I know that vias goes to the positive terminal on the battery. So we're going to solder it into that position. Again, same drill. We're going to melt the solder and push the wire and let the solder get cold again. Remember to always have your fume on, and also when you're working with exposing copper by removing the solder mask, do not breathe the mask. You have to be very careful with this. So after I'm happy with the results of my soldering, I will bend the wire and cut it. So just like that, I think we have fixed that broken trace. I also install a wire from the position on the middle and to the chip itself, to the fourth leg on the left, but of course that didn't fix it. So I thought, let's expose some copper with the blade and solder a wire just like what we did with Pokémon Red. Let me show you what I mean in a minute. So I expose some copper, clean it with IPA, put some flux, put the wire through the vias, bend the wire just like what we did with Pokémon Red, put it into position and solder into the copper just like that. Heat and apply solder. Just like that. Now it's not moving. So let me remove the wire that I installed first, cut the excess, put some flux, and solder that wire into the copper of that BS. Like I said, I remove the wire, and let's bring the Game Boy after that fix. Still nothing. Scrambled Nintendo logo. So I did this off camera, which is look at the continuity chart that I have, and these are my findings. Pin number 26 should have continuity to leg number 21 on the right side of the flash chip, sorry, which is this one. As you can see, if I touch the leg, nothing. But if I touch the pad, it has continuity. So that means that the leg is not connected to the pad. That's when I always do these checks. I always check by touching the leg only, the top of it, not the pad itself. So now let's reflow that leg, the 21 position on the right side of the flash chip. Make sure it has a connection. I have a video doing this with all the chips, all the pins. If you want to see it, I'll leave a comment in the description with that link. So now let's test if that leg now has continuity to the pin number 26. here. And yes, I think we have continuity. Hopefully that was it. Let's put it again into the Game Boy. Again, nothing at the first attempt. Let me pull it out and now put it back again. We have a Nintendo logo. And look at that. It's working. After all that work, it seems Pokemon Crystal is working now. But will it hold a save? Let's very quick create a character. Blah, blah, blah. Name it Chris. Oh, sorry, Amanda. It was super quick. And we have a save file. Amanda is there. So Pokemon Crystal has been fixed. This game can go all the way from 180 to 220. So let's go back and now work with Pokemon Blue. It says on the note that it won't save. So let's see what we find. This is by far the most damaged game of this video. There's pretty much no label on it. Let's try and test it before checking the board. We have scrambled Nintendo logo, so not good. Let's blow a little bit. And hey, look at that. It's working now. But of course, it has no save file. If they remove the battery just like they did with the rest of the games, it won't have a save. So let's put into the mat. Open it. But let me remove the sticker. It bothers me a little bit. $40 for a non-working game. Or was it working before? I don't know. But I don't like those stickers. So let me take it away. Look at that poor Blastoise. And just by looking, I think that the battery is not installed properly. Sorry. You can see that the positive terminal is facing up and it's connected to the negative pad on the board. And that means this battery is installed on the opposite side. Could that be that this is why this game is not working? This will be the easiest fix of all time, honestly. So I don't see any other issues. Let's go ahead and remove the battery. Heat and pull when the solder has melted and remove it. Super easy. So now let me clean the pads by applying some flux, just like we always do. Bring my copper braid and remove. Same thing with the negative pad. This is becoming a very long video, so I'm gonna do 2 parts. This will be part 1. Please stay tuned for part number 2. So after we clean the pads, of course, we need to test this battery. Maybe they just installed it in the wrong way, but it might work. So let's keep it like that. The positive terminal facing up. Let me change the side. This is positive, this is negative, and no, we don't have voltage. So that means this is a dry death, long gone battery. So let me bring a brand new battery that I have. Test the voltage before installing it. Hey, come on. Oh, look at that. Yeah, it's working. So now let me put it into position. Again, hold it with tweezers, heat, and let the solder get cold. Oops. Don't do it like that, please. Let me put it back into position. Hold it again, and let's move the tweezers until the solder is cold. Now let's do the same thing with the other pad, the positive one. Solder into position. Now let's give it a clean because if you remember, it didn't start at the first attempt. So let's put some deoxide and put it into the whole board. Now let's test for voltage. It's working. So it should be good, but we don't know with these games. So now let's bring the shell and test it. Put it into the Game Boy. And look at that. We have the Nintendo logo. It started at the first try. Let's again create a new character. Blah, blah, blah. Save it. Put it back into the Game Boy. First attempt again, which is very nice. And yes, it's working. See you in the next one. Hope you enjoyed this content. Please subscribe. We have 4 out of 8. So see you in the next one.